6-year-old Aman Sharma died on Sunday after being allegedly turned away by 6 hospitals in the national capital, including the central government-run Safdarjung Hospital. He wasn't the first. 7-year-old Avinash died after his desperate parents failed to get him admitted to even a single hospital. They then committed suicide by jumping off a building 2 days later. Well, both those tragedies have jolted the Delhi government into action amid growing anger over the death of these 2 young children, deaths that could perhaps have easily been prevented. The Delhi Chief Minister today visiting hospitals in the city for surprise checks. He called it heartbreaking also. However, this time the national capital has seen 1,800 dengue cases. This is the highest number in the last 5 years. There have been 9 deaths as well just in the month of September alone. What is it then that we can do, both as individuals in our homes, and indeed are there steps that the Delhi government and authorities haven't done so far? Over the next half an hour, these are just some of the questions we're going to be exploring with our special panel of doctors. Now, we're being joined here in our Delhi studios by Dr. Krishan, Chugh, Head of Department for Paediatrics, Fortis Hospital, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Director and VC of Manipal Hospital, Dwarka, also with us at this point. Dr. Bagai, let me begin with you. Delhi seeing what we're being told is the highest number of cases in the last 5 years. Why is it, do you think, that there's been such a spike of cases this year? Is it sort of the weather that's causing it? Could it be some other reason? Also, the number of deaths, 9 deaths so far, almost all of them have been in the month of September alone. Do you see any reason behind this?
I think Delhi has had a more prolonged and more severe monsoons than in the past few years.
Right.
Whenever this kind of humidity and this kind of temperature, the mosquito breeding is obviously rampant. There would also be a possibility that this particular year, the strain of dengue which we have seen perhaps could be more virulent, or it may have changed. There is no way that we can give you a rapid answer now as to which strain is prevalent in Delhi. Also, it reflects on the Delhi infrastructure, the sanitation, the water logging, which has obviously contributed to this.
So you're saying that there could be larger sort of administrative mismanagement that could actually have led to this?
Completely.
So all the people who are now presently blaming the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, saying they could have taken steps earlier, may have a point, you're saying?
Let me put facts on the table. Dengue is not a new disease in Delhi. It has been happening for the last 15 or 18 or 20 odd years.
Yes.
We know that it happens around this time.
Yes.
We also know that we need to be future ready. So what really perhaps we've been caught napping is that we haven't put the infrastructure in order. There is no point in ordering beds now.
Okay.
There is no point in saying...
Why do you say that? Because at this point, there are people who are still being turned away from hospitals. There are queues outside. There are parents who are now getting frantic, having seen the cases of Aman and Avinash, who are running to hospitals.
What I meant to say is there's no point in ordering beds now, when this should have been done 3 months back.
It could have been better, perhaps, 3 months.
Absolutely. Yes. But we've seen more number of cases, especially the pediatric age group are more vulnerable, and we'll discuss that as the time goes on.
Right.
And we've seen significant amount of mortality and morbidity in that. And it's very, very disturbing to lose innocent lives from a disease which is actually preventable.
Okay. I believe we have our first caller on the line. SP Sharma is with us on the phone line. Mr. Sharma, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I have simple question. Now, this all the Delhi government officials and ministers are making round to the hospital and expressing their concern about the outbreak and showing sympathy with the bereaved families. I just want to know what are their priorities. What they're doing up to now. See, for last one month and so, they were all busy in the DUSU electioneering, and they are all amazed. Mr. Kejriwal himself was busy in hosting rock shows, and their MLAs songing the Delhi camp colleges.
All right, sir. Mr. Sharma, I believe you're making a political point there, and that's something that has actually been taken up by politicians today. The Chief Minister actually visiting hospitals today and outlining what he hopes his government can do, and that actually includes an emergency takeover of private hospitals if they turn patients away. Now, is that even feasible, Dr. Krishan?
That sounds ridiculous, absolutely. How can you do that? And fault has been from the side of the government. It is the government which should have added hundreds of beds well before. And just adding beds is not the point. Point is you need trained staff, you need doctors, you need nurses, you need paramedics. And then and only then those patients who come to you in that epidemic or the disproportionately increased times that you can take care of them. All this should have been anticipated, and you can't start thinking of taking over hospitals and all. That's, I don't know, how can anybody get such an idea?
All right, I'm going to take one more quick caller before we get back to this. RS Bajaj is on the phone line with us. Mr. Bajaj, go ahead with your question, please.
Good evening, madam. It's very tragic that whenever the death of dengue patients is occurring in Delhi, most of the people are blaming the doctors and the hospitals. No one is looking into the system. Now we have got an infrastructure, we have got a large number of doctors, and many of the doctors will be willing to work 24 hours even in the private hospitals. Why the Delhi government cannot request the Indian Academy of Pediatrics and IMA and post these doctors who are, many of those are retired doctors, are those who are willing to work in these private hospitals and manage this epidemic. I think that is the only thing. Doctors work from morning till night.
Okay, that's a solution that's being given over there, that perhaps, you know, if these private hospitals are so inadequately staffed as it appears to be, this is somewhere the government could intervene. But let me bring it back really to the subject that we're talking about, dengue, and specifically questions arising over dengue. We've just seen two cases, a 7-year-old child and a 6-year-old child. In both these cases, between the symptoms first appearing and the children actually dying of dengue, there's been a very little gap. In the case of Aman, the 6-year-old child, he died on Sunday after being turned away by 2 hospitals, but he tested positive on Thursday. That's when his parents took him to Safdarjung. Safdarjung Hospital strangely said that he did not have dengue, and they said, take him home. The boy was then kept at home for 24 hours, then taken to the Jeevan nursing home. He was referred to Mulchand, where they were told there were no beds, and then Batra Hospital also, and Max refusing admission as well. But in all of that, between Thursday and Sunday, can things deteriorate to this extent? Dr. Chugh, let me address that to you, since you look at pediatrics.
This is the disease which can really progress very fast. In fact, 3 days is not very surprising to us. We would, even 2 days or 1.5 days, such things can happen. That fever is going on, let's say, for 3 days, 4 days, and then on the 3rd, 4th, 5th day somewhere, suddenly things start deteriorating. That's the time where complications or the worst things happen. And then, and from there to the end, if proper care is not taken, 2-3 days is too long.
So in this precise scenario, what is it that you would advise parents to look out for? What is it that they can do?
You see, from the very beginning, all of us have been trying to educate people that dengue is there in such large numbers, it's impossible that you'll accommodate all of them in the hospitals. None of them, in fact, majority of them do not need it. There are some danger signs. So now they say
what are these danger signs that we should be looking out for?
From the very beginning, it's dengue with danger signs, dengue without danger signs.
Okay.
The danger signs can be a fever which is very high and remains sustained high, does not respond to, let's say, the medicine that we give for bringing down the fever.
Okay.
A lot of headache, a lot of vomiting, patient unable to take anything orally, abdominal pain which is gripping. Such are the symptoms, and of course, if it goes on worsening, then of course the child is getting, let's say, somewhat unconscious, is unable to interact with the family, he is unconsolably crying. So such things are the danger signs.
Okay.
And we should be able to recognize them early. In fact, parents should be able to recognize, and certainly the caregivers, health caregivers should be able to recognize them.